Social anxiety isn't a quirky little personality trait. It's not, oh, I'm just a little shy around strangers. Nope. Social anxiety is a prison, a silent, invisible one. And here's the wild part. You're the one building it, brick by brick. Before you hit back thinking, oh great, another video to guilt trip me, hear me out. If your heart's ever gone full drum solo just because someone said, so tell us about yourself, I promise, you're exactly where you need to be. Let's begin with a common experience. Every time you're in a group setting, it's like your brain flips into panic mode. Your heart's racing like it's auditioning for a Fast and Furious movie, or your palms are sweating like you're about to rob a bank, and every word you think about saying is instantly followed by, wait, no, that's dumb. And then comes the advice from the so-called advice gurus. Just be confident. Oh, okay, let me just order a box of confidence off Amazon real quick. Fake it till you make it. Right, because pretending you're fine when your insides are in full meltdown mode has always worked so well. And my personal favorite, it's all in your head. Well, yeah, it's in my head. That's the whole problem. Here's the deal. Social anxiety isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility to understand it. And that's where this video comes in. By the time we're done, you'll know why social anxiety keeps showing up uninvited, the lies it's been feeding you, and most importantly, what you can actually do to take your life back. And no, I'm not here to tell you to just fake it or power through. That stuff, it doesn't work. But there is a way out. You just need to see it differently. All right, so now that we've called out the terrible advice and the self-made prison analogy has sunk in, let's take a breath, literally. Because to understand social anxiety, we need to talk about what's actually happening when it sneaks in like an uninvited guest at your brain's party. Spoiler alert. It's not just shyness, and it's definitely not just who you are. First up, the whole social anxiety is just being shy thing is not real. Not even close. Shyness is like feeling a little awkward at a party where you don't know anyone. Social anxiety, on the other hand, is avoiding the party entirely because your brain is convinced that walking in is a life-threatening event. Why? Because your brain is overreacting. It's not trying to embarrass you, it's trying to save you. Here's the sciencey part. No, it's not boring, I promise. It's fun when you know what actually happens in your brain. Your brain has this handy little alarm system called the amygdala. Its job? Keep you alive. Back in the day, it was great at alerting you to actual threats, like, say, a bear charging at you. But now, your amygdala doesn't know the difference between a literal bear and Brenda from accounting asking if you got her email. Well, same fight or flight response minus the claws and growling. The second misconception is that it is in your personality. Again, sorry, but no, that's not the entire truth. Let me show you why you should crush the idea that social anxiety is just who you are. I get it. It feels permanent. Like you were born with a giant sticky note on your forehead that says, "Hi, I'm awkward." But the truth? Social anxiety isn't some unchangeable part of your DNA. It's more like a bad habit. Here's the part nobody tells you. Social anxiety isn't you. It's just a bad habit your brain has been practicing for too long. And like any habit, biting your nails, doom scrolling at 2 a.m., it can be unlearned. Your brain is amazing at adapting when you give it the chance. So let's stop calling social anxiety a personality trait. Now that we know what social anxiety is, it's time to bust some myths about why you're stuck. You've probably heard these before. You might even believe some of them. But let's set the record straight, because these myths, they're trash. Ah, the classic. Just be confident. Like confidence is some magical potion you can chug before walking into a room. Spoiler alert, it's not. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Confidence isn't the starting point. It's the result. You don't wake up one day and think, wow, I'm confident now. You actually build it, one small win at a time. Then there's the just push through it from those who think they know it all. Well, they think anxiety is like a locked door and all you have to do is kick it down. Are you kidding me? Now, I get where this advice is coming from, but here's the reality. Exposure without preparation is like running into battle with zero armor. Sure, you might survive, but you're probably coming out bruised, battered, and even more terrified than before. Finally, let's tackle the myth that avoidance is your best friend. Why go to the party if it's just going to make you anxious? Or why speak up in meetings if it's easier to stay quiet? Here's why. I have to be honest with you, avoidance doesn't solve the problem, it feeds it. Every time you avoid a situation that makes you anxious, you're teaching your brain, yep, that was definitely dangerous. Good thing we stayed safe. So the big question is, what actually works for me? Well, it's all about taking baby steps, and small intentional steps are where the magic happens. Instead of forcing yourself into the deep end or avoiding the water altogether, start with the shallow end. So, we've busted the myths that keep you stuck and started reframing how you think about social anxiety. But here's the question that's probably lingering in your mind. Why does it feel so overwhelming? Picture this. You're walking down a peaceful trail, enjoying the fresh air, when suddenly, bam, a snake slithers across your path. Your heart jumps and your muscles tighten, and before you even have time to think, you're halfway back to your car. That, my friend, is your amygdala in action. And this is where the real trouble starts. The feedback loop. Negative thoughts lead to physical symptoms, sweaty palms, pounding heart, which lead to avoidance behaviors like not speaking up. And every time you avoid the situation, you teach your brain, yep, that was dangerous. Let's never do that again. Now, you're probably thinking, great, so my brain is sabotaging me. How am I supposed to fix that? Here's the thing. Your brain isn't broken. It's just doing what it's wired to do. Your default wiring is all about survival, and somewhere along the way, it decided social situations were a threat. It's not personal, it's primal. Think of it like a smoke alarm that goes off every time you toast bread. It's not that your house is on fire, it's that the alarm is way too sensitive. And here's the good news. Just like you can adjust a smoke alarm, you can rewire your brain. It's called neuro-plasticity, and it's the reason change is possible. The same way you trained your brain to panic, you can train it to stay calm. So no, you're not stuck this way forever. It feels overwhelming because your brain is running a program it learned years ago, but it's a program you can rewrite. And in the next section, I'll show you how small, intentional actions can help you break that loop and retrain your mind to handle social situations without the panic. First things first, you've got to break the cycle of negative thoughts. Social anxiety loves to whisper lies like, everyone's judging you, or if you mess up, you'll never recover. And the worst part? Your brain eats it up without question. So how do you fight back? By questioning those thoughts. Let's say you're giving a presentation and the little voice in your head says, you're going to look so stupid if you mess up. Ask yourself, what evidence do I have that this is true? Has anyone ever actually laughed me off the stage? Most of the time, you'll realize your thoughts are as dramatic as a soap opera. Next, let's talk exposure. The key here isn't to dive into the deep end, it's to wade into the shallow end and take your time. For example, if the thought of networking terrifies you, don't start by walking into a room full of strangers and trying to make 20 new friends. Start with something smaller, like saying hi to the barista or making small talk with a coworker. And here's the trick: prepare. Plan 1 or 2 safe conversation starters like, what's your go-to coffee order? Or how was your weekend? Visualize the interaction going well beforehand. Now, let's tackle one of the hardest parts: being kind to yourself when things don't go perfectly. Here's a little secret. Nobody navigates social situations flawlessly, not even the extroverted life of the party types. The difference? They don't beat themselves up over every misstep. Let's say you tried making small talk, and it got a little awkward. Instead of spiraling into, why did I even try? Reframe it as, okay, that wasn't my best, but at least I tried. Progress is all about momentum, and the best way to build momentum is to track your wins, no matter how small they seem. Did you make eye contact during a conversation? Write it down. Did you contribute 1 sentence during a meeting? You should celebrate it. All of these small wins actually count. Finally, let's redefine what success in social situations looks like. The goal isn't to be the most charming, witty, or polished person in the room. It's to make genuine connections. For example, instead of obsessing over saying the right thing, focus on being present and interested in the other person. Ask questions. Listen actively and let go of the pressure to impress. It's not about changing who you are. It's about giving yourself the tools to navigate social situations with a little more ease and a lot less panic. All right, so you've made it this far. You understand what social anxiety is, you've got tools to manage it, and we've addressed those nagging doubts in the back of your mind. Now let's talk about the why. Why is it worth all the effort? Why should you take those small, sometimes scary steps? Picture this. You walk into a room full of people. Instead of scanning for an exit or obsessing over whether your hands are sweating, you feel calm, confident. You strike up a conversation with someone, not because you have to, but because you want to. And here's the best part. The benefits of overcoming social anxiety don't stop with you. It's a ripple effect. When you start showing up more fully in your life, your relationships transform. Your friendships deepen because you're no longer holding back. You find yourself speaking up at work, maybe even nailing that promotion because you're finally letting your ideas shine. Take Emma, for example. She used to avoid speaking up in class because the thought of being judged was paralyzing. But over time, using small, intentional steps, she started challenging herself, answering one question here, making a comment there. Today, Emma's the one leading discussions and mentoring others who feel the way she once did. So why is it worth it? Because social anxiety doesn't just keep you from socializing, it keeps you from fully living. Overcoming it means stepping into a life where you're not just a spectator, but an active participant. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of you. And that version of you, the one who's confident, connected, and unafraid to show up, they're waiting on the other side of this journey. Let's take it full circle. Social anxiety. It's not a life sentence. It's not some unchangeable part of your identity. It's a challenge, yes, but it's one you can absolutely overcome. Think back to where we started. That invisible prison you've been building. The truth is, you've had the tools to tear it down this whole time. And with everything we've covered today, you're not just chipping away at the walls, you're kicking them down. And here's what I want you to remember. You're not broken. You're not too far gone. You're human. And humans, we're wired for growth. Every time you challenge a negative thought, take a small step, or choose connection over perfection, you're proving that growth is possible. You're rewriting the story your anxiety has been telling you for years. But here's the thing, none of this matters if you don't take that first step. So I've got a challenge for you. Pick one thing from this video and try it today. Maybe it's saying hi to someone, jotting down a small win, or reframing a negative thought. Just one step. And if you're feeling brave, share your biggest takeaway in the comments. Let's make this a space where we can all learn from each other because trust me, you're not the only one on this journey. We're all in it together, figuring it out one step at a time. And if nobody's told you this today, you've got this.